My name is Adrian Marshall, and I was 36 years old when this all started. Half a year ago, I honestly believed I had my life under control. I had a steady job as a regional sales manager for Horizon Logistics, making about $84,000 a year. I owned a 3-bedroom home in a decent part of town, a place I had bought 2 years before I married. I had a wife who smiled whenever I came home from work trips. Her name was Melissa, or I guess I should say, used to be Melissa. Oh, I still can't believe she actually did that. She was 34, with auburn hair that caught the light in the prettiest way, and green eyes that once made my chest tighten. We met 4 years earlier at a barbecue through friends we both knew. She was laughing at some stupid joke, her head tilted back, not caring who saw her. Before our second date even happened, I already knew I wanted her to be my wife. We were together for a year before I asked her to marry me. The wedding was small, nothing showy, just close family and good friends. Those first 2 years together felt almost too good to be real. Melissa worked as an administrative assistant in a dental office, and I still remember how she used to message me during my business trips, sending pictures of meals she had cooked or little projects she was doing around the house. Whenever I came through the front door after 3 or 4 days in Denver, Phoenix, or Seattle, her whole face lit up like I was the best thing that had happened to her. 2 years after we got married, Melissa left her job. She told me she was worn out from office drama, difficult patients, and a boss who watched every little thing she did. What she wanted, as she explained it, was to turn our home into a peaceful place. I backed her choice without hesitation. My paycheck was enough to cover us, and if staying home made her happy, then I was happy too. Happy wife, happy life, right? My work had me on the road about 8 to 10 days every month. Being in regional sales meant meeting clients, working out contracts, and keeping business relationships alive across 3 different states. Sometimes I was in Denver for 2 days, Phoenix for 3, and once in a while Seattle for a full week. Melissa never acted bothered by that setup. She filled her time with yoga classes, shopping runs, and projects around the house. She could spend hours moving furniture around, painting one wall a different color, or making our place look like it belonged on the cover of a magazine. One thing that helped was that Melissa had family close by. Her older sister, Rebecca, lived about 20 minutes from us with her husband, Nathan, and their 2 children. Rebecca Brooks, who still used her maiden name at work, was 37 and almost the complete opposite of Melissa. Melissa was gentle and home-focused, but Rebecca was sharp, driven, and always moving. She worked as a corporate attorney, made around $160,000 a year, put in 60-hour weeks, and somehow always looked perfectly put together and in charge. Nathan Brooks had been married to Rebecca for 9 years, was 39 years old, and had been out of work for the last year. He had lost some middle management marketing job and was supposedly between opportunities, which mostly looked like sitting on the couch playing video games while Rebecca ran herself into the ground. At family dinners, Rebecca would talk about whatever case she was handling, while Nathan sat there poking at his food and barely adding a word. I never gave Nathan much thought. He seemed harmless enough, just lazy and lacking direction. He was the sort of man who let his wife handle the money pressure while he tried to figure out what to do with himself. Melissa and Rebecca spoke every single day, sometimes for hours at a time. They had been close since they were kids, and I was glad Melissa had someone like that while I was away for work. Nothing looked unusual, nothing felt off. Melissa would kiss me before I left, tell me she was going to miss me, and ask me to text once my plane landed. She sent me pictures from her day, coffee shops, yoga class, or dinner with Rebecca and the kids. I called every night, and we talked about ordinary things. My job, her day, whatever we might do that weekend. I believed I understood my life. I believed I understood my wife. Turns out, I did not understand either one. The first warning sign was not some big dramatic moment. It was not lipstick on a shirt or a strange message on her phone. It was a scent, a cologne I did not own, hanging in my house after I had been gone for 3 days in Dallas. I came through the front door on a Thursday evening, pulling my suitcase behind me, and something immediately felt off. Not terrible off, just different. The house smelled like another man had been inside it. It was a masculine cologne, woody and expensive. It was not mine. I used Old Spice. This was something completely different. "Hey, babe," Melissa called from the kitchen, stepping out with a glass of wine and that same bright smile on her face. "How was Dallas?" "Fine," I said, still trying to place that smell. "What smells different in here?" She laughed like the question was nothing. "I bought a new air freshener, some sandalwood thing." "Is it too strong?" she asked. It sounded believable, easy enough to accept. I kissed her hello and let it go, but the little odd things kept showing up. After a Phoenix trip, I noticed 2 wine glasses sitting in the sink instead of 1. When I asked about them, Melissa said her friend Megan had come by for dinner. That made sense. Megan was always stopping over without warning. After Seattle, the bed was made in a way Melissa did not usually make it. She never cared much about making the bed, usually just dragging the comforter up and calling it good. But this time the corners were tucked sharp and tight, like a hotel room. When I brought it up, she laughed and said she had watched some YouTube video on how to make a bed properly. After Denver, I noticed dishes in the sink that had not been there when I left. There was a coffee mug I had never seen before. A plate had crumbs on it from food we did not keep in the house. The furniture in the living room had been shifted around a little. The coffee table was about 6 inches closer to the couch, and the throw pillows were set in different spots. On their own, every excuse made sense. Melissa had invited friends over. She was trying something new. She felt like changing the room around, but all of it together made a pattern I could not ignore. At night, I would lie there while Melissa slept peacefully beside me, wondering if I was losing my mind. Was I just paranoid? Was I jealous for no reason? I had traveled for work for years and never doubted her before. So why was I suddenly seeing danger in wine glasses and cologne? I thought about asking her straight out. But what could I even say? "I think you are cheating because the bed looked different." I would have sounded crazy. I did not want to become that kind of husband, suspicious and angry, ruining my own marriage with fear. Then the Portland trip came up. It was 4 days in late September, meeting with a major client who could triple our West Coast contracts. The night before I left, I made a choice that changed everything. I drove to an electronics store and bought a small wireless camera. It was motion-activated, HD, and connected to my phone. The same kind of thing people buy for home security. I told the salesman I wanted to watch the house while I was away. Technically, that was not a lie. I hid it on the living room bookshelf, aimed at the front door and most of the main floor. It was small enough to disappear, tucked behind a few books. If nothing happened, I would take it down and never say a word. If something did happen, I would deal with it when I had to. Monday morning, I kissed Melissa goodbye, rolled my suitcase out to the car, and flew to Portland. During my first day of meetings, I forced myself not to open the camera app. I was probably wrong. I was probably just paranoid. There would be nothing there. Tuesday at lunch, while sitting in a restaurant overlooking the Columbia River, I finally opened the app on my phone. It showed motion clips from the day before. The morning footage was normal. Melissa made coffee, did yoga, and went through her usual routine. Then I reached the clip from 3:32 p.m. The doorbell rang. Melissa opened the door, and my whole world dropped out from under me. A man walked into my house, my brother-in-law, Nathan Brooks. They hugged for too long, too close, too comfortable. Then they went to the couch, talking and laughing. Melissa rested her hand on Nathan's arm in a way that said this was not new. It looked familiar. It looked practiced. At 3:47 p.m., Nathan leaned in and kissed her. Melissa did not pull back. She kissed him like she wanted it. At 4:10 p.m., they went upstairs together, out of the camera's view. Nathan did not leave until 6:45 p.m. I sat in that restaurant bathroom for 20 minutes, watching the video again and again, feeling like I might throw up. My wife and her sister's unemployed husband were in my house, probably in my bed. I saved every clip to cloud storage. I deleted nothing. Then I went back to my meeting on autopilot, shaking hands and talking logistics while my mind spun in circles. How long had this been happening? Every time I traveled, every excuse, every story, every kiss goodbye, all lies. When I came home, I did not confront Melissa. Not yet. One incident was not enough. I needed proof nobody could deny. I had 5 days before my next planned trip. 5 days to prepare. 5 days to get ready for the performance of my life. 5 days before I made both of them understand what happens when you betray the wrong man. My next business trip was set for the following Monday. 5 days in San Francisco for a major client presentation. 5 days that would give Melissa and Nathan plenty of time to keep their affair going. Only this time, I would not be in San Francisco. I would be 2 miles away, watching everything. The 2 weeks between finding that camera footage and the confrontation I planned were the longest 2 weeks of my life. I had to act completely normal around Melissa. I had to kiss her goodbye each morning, text her during the day, come home, and ask how her day went while knowing exactly how she had spent her afternoon. Either she was a world-class liar, or she truly did not think she was doing anything wrong. That thought scared me even more than the affair itself. When she kissed me, there was no guilt in her eyes, no shame, no sign that she knew she was destroying our marriage every time I left town. I prepared carefully. First, I called my boss and told him I had a family emergency. I asked for the week off while still making it look like I was going to San Francisco. He agreed right away. I had never taken sudden time off before. Then I researched divorce law in our state. The house was mine before the marriage, so Melissa had no legal claim to it. Our joint savings account had $44,000 in it. Legally, half of that belonged to me. I moved $22,000 into a separate account I had opened. I called a divorce lawyer and set a meeting for the day after the confrontation I was planning. I saved all the camera footage to several cloud accounts. I bought a burner phone for records. I mapped the drive from the motel to my house. 2 minutes, 47 seconds. I timed it 3 times. Monday morning came. I played my usual leaving routine with perfect precision. I kissed Melissa goodbye at the kitchen counter. I told her I would text when I landed. I rolled my suitcase out to the car while she stood in the doorway with her coffee, probably already thinking about Nathan showing up. I drove to a parking garage downtown, left my car there, and took an Uber to the Riverside Motel, a dump 2 miles from my house. The room smelled like old smoke and harsh cleaner, but it was exactly what I needed. Close enough to reach home in minutes, but far enough that nobody would ever think to look for me there. I sat on the sagging mattress and opened the camera app. Empty living room. Waiting. Monday morning passed like any normal day. Melissa did yoga, made lunch, and watched TV. I forced down a protein bar, even though my stomach was twisting with nerves. At 2:47 p.m., the doorbell rang. My whole body locked up. Melissa opened the door, and Nathan walked in carrying a bottle of wine like he was just stopping by to visit friends. They hugged right away, but it was not the casual hug of in-laws. It was the desperate hold of 2 people who had been counting the minutes. I watched with cold rage as they kissed in my entryway, grabbing at each other's clothes with shameless hunger. This time, they did not even make it to the couch. They were too eager, too careless, stumbling toward the stairs like teenagers. At exactly 3:20 p.m., I grabbed my keys and drove home. My heart was pounding, but my mind was clear. I parked down the street and walked to my house. The front door was unlocked. They had been too frantic to care about security. I could hear them upstairs as I stood in my own entryway. No mistaking it. My wife and her sister's husband were in my bed. Every muscle in me was tight with controlled rage. I went up the stairs slowly, 1 step at a time. The bedroom door was wide open, like they were too arrogant to bother hiding. I stood in the doorway for exactly 3 seconds, watching Melissa naked under Nathan in the bed I had bought, in the house I owned, inside the marriage I had trusted. Then I moved. Nathan saw me first. His eyes went wide with pure animal fear. But I was already across the room, grabbing him by the arm and ripping him off my wife hard enough to send him crashing to the floor. Melissa screamed my name, clutching the sheet to her chest, but her voice meant nothing. My focus was on one thing. Nathan tried to crawl away, so I kicked him hard in the ribs. The crack snapped through the room. He gasped and folded into himself. "You thought you could have my wife in my house?" I said. My voice was ice. No shouting, no screaming, just cold control. I kicked him again, this time between the legs. Nathan screamed high and raw. He tried to talk, choking out, I'm sorry. But words meant nothing anymore. I grabbed him by the hair, dragged him to his feet, and punched him straight in the jaw. His head snapped back. Blood hit my carpet, in my house, the place where he had been meeting my wife. "Get out," I ordered, shoving him toward the door. "If I ever see you again, I'll kill you." It did not sound like a threat. It sounded like a promise. Nathan stumbled down the stairs, still naked, blood pouring from his nose as he grabbed his clothes from the living room floor. Then he ran out the front door like the coward he was. I turned to Melissa. She was crying hard, mascara streaking her face, trying to explain. "It didn't mean anything. It was a mistake. Please." "Get dressed. Get out," I said. "This is my home," she protested. "No," I said flatly. "This is my home. I bought it before we got married. My name, my mortgage. You have no legal claim. You have 10 minutes before I call the police for trespassing." The final tone in my voice broke through her denial. She rushed to dress, grabbed her phone and purse, and ran. I stood alone in my house, the silence louder than anything after months of lies. Then I called my attorney. 2 hours after Melissa ran from my house, someone started pounding on my front door. Bang, 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 hard, angry, demanding. I knew who it was before I opened it. Rebecca stood on my porch, her face red with fury, still wearing the courtroom suit from whatever case had filled her day. "Adrian, what the hell is wrong with you?" she demanded. Behind that polished control, I saw the rage of a successful woman who did not like family drama messing up her perfect life. Melissa had called her. Of course she had. Probably crying about how her unfair husband had thrown her out over some dumb fight. "You need to fix this," Rebecca said, pushing past me into my living room. "Melissa is destroyed," Rebecca said. "She's at my house crying nonstop, and all she'll tell me is that you went crazy and threw her out." "This is insane, Adrian. You do not just kick your wife out of her own home." "Her home?" I asked quietly. "Yes, her home. You are married. That makes it community property. You cannot just—" I walked to my laptop, opened it, and hit play on the camera footage. Rebecca stopped talking in the middle of her sentence as she watched her sister open our front door. Her face shifted from anger to confusion when Nathan stepped into the frame. Then confusion turned to horror as they held each other. Horror turned to devastation when they kissed, like they had been starving for it. "What is this?" she whispered. "That is your husband," I said flatly. "Sleeping with my wife, in my house, in my bed. Every time I leave town for work." Rebecca's legs gave out. She dropped onto my couch, the same couch where she had just watched her husband kiss her sister. Her hands trembled. "I had no idea," she breathed. "I worked so much. I trusted him. I trusted her." Then she broke down. Not a few careful tears from a woman trying to stay composed. These were rough, body-shaking sobs. For one moment, my anger faded into something close to sympathy. Rebecca had been working 60-hour weeks to support her family while her unemployed husband was sneaking around with her sister. She had been betrayed just as badly as I had. "How long?" she managed to ask. "I do not know," I said. "I only found out last month. But the signs were there. It could have been months." Rebecca looked up at me with tears running down her face, and I saw the exact second her grief hardened into something colder. The sharp attorney who had built her career-crushing opposing counsel was about to aim those skills at her own husband. "What are you going to do?" she asked. "I already called my lawyer. I file for divorce tomorrow. Melissa gets nothing." Rebecca nodded slowly and wiped her face with the back of her hand. "Good," she said. She stood, walked to the door, then stopped. "Thank you for showing me," she said. "I deserve to know." "Yes," I said. "You did." When she left, I saw the change in her eyes. The broken wife was gone. In her place stood the ruthless attorney who made a living destroying people in court. Nathan had betrayed the wrong woman. The next week moved with clean, surgical precision. My divorce was simple: premarital assets, recorded infidelity, and no kids to fight over. My attorney laid out the evidence, the camera footage, the timeline, and proof that I had owned the house before the marriage. Melissa did not fight it. She could not. She had no leverage, and she knew it. The settlement was harsh because it was simple. I kept the house, my 401k, and every investment. We split the joint savings down the middle, $22,000 each, which was nothing compared to what her betrayal had cost me. Melissa left with nothing else. No alimony, no claim to my property, nothing. But Melissa's downfall was small next to what Rebecca unleashed on Nathan. 1 week after learning about the affair, Rebecca filed for divorce. She hired Margaret Ellison, a legendary lawyer known for bankrupting cheating spouses. Ellison had built her name on scorched earth divorce cases that left unfaithful husbands financially ruined. The discovery process was brutal. Rebecca documented Nathan's year of unemployment, his total financial dependence, and his failure to pay household bills or even look for serious work. Added to the undeniable proof of the affair, because I had shared the footage, Nathan had no defense. He tried to make a deal. Through his public defender, since he could not afford a real attorney, Nathan begged Rebecca to be reasonable. "It was a mistake. I love you. I love the kids. Please do not destroy me." Rebecca's response came through Margaret Ellison, and it was ice cold. "You should have thought about that before you slept with my sister." The final divorce settlement wiped him out completely. Rebecca got full custody of both kids, ages 7 and 5. Nathan's affair with his wife's sister was used as proof of poor moral judgment as a parent. Rebecca kept their house, worth $450,000. She kept every investment, retirement account, and savings account. Nathan got no alimony. His unemployment and cheating killed any claim to support. He was allowed supervised visits only, 2 hours every other Saturday, with a court-appointed supervisor in the room. He also had to pay child support, even though he had almost no income. The court based the amount on what he could earn, not what he was making stocking shelves. Within 3 months, Nathan had lost everything: his wife, his kids, his home, his money, his dignity. He moved into a studio apartment in the worst part of town and worked night shifts at a grocery store for minimum wage. His parents were so ashamed of him that they refused to help him. His children barely spoke during supervised visits, confused and hurt by what he had done to their mother. Melissa did a little better, but not by much. She started waitressing at a chain restaurant and sharing a small apartment with a roommate. Her parents, conservative and religious, were horrified by the affair and cut off every bit of financial help. Her friends disappeared as the truth spread. The woman who had spent 4 years building the perfect home was now serving chicken wings just to pay rent. Melissa and Nathan never contacted each other after the divorces were final. The affair that had seemed worth the risk, so exciting and romantic, ended in blame and resentment. Each one blamed the other for losing everything. I went to both final divorce hearings. I watched Melissa sign the papers with shaking hands. I watched Nathan's lawyer explain that he now had to pay child support he could not afford. I felt nothing but cold satisfaction. The gavel came down. The judge declared both marriages legally over. Melissa and Nathan left the courthouse in opposite directions, like strangers connected only by the damage they had caused. I walked out a free man. 3 months after the divorce, I moved out of the house where it all happened. I could not stay there anymore. Every room reminded me of lies, betrayal, and the blind trust I had given to a woman who never deserved it. I sold the house as soon as the divorce was final and made a solid profit, which I invested carefully. My new condo downtown is everything that house was not: modern, clean, simple, and untouched by the past. Floor-to-ceiling windows look out over the city skyline. Clean lines, expensive furniture, no family pictures, no sentimental junk. It is a place that belongs only to me, with no shared memories staining the walls. Work is going great. When my boss found out about what I had been dealing with, he was impressed that I stayed professional through the whole mess. I never missed a meeting. I never let my personal life spill into my job. Last month, he promoted me to senior regional manager and gave me a $15,000 raise. My travel schedule is still heavy, but now I come home to an empty condo that feels peaceful instead of lonely. I am dating again. Slowly. Carefully. A few dinners, a couple of second dates, nothing serious yet. I have learned to trust my gut and pay attention to warning signs I used to ignore. Women seem interested in my story. The betrayed husband who handled his divorce with cold, careful planning. I do not tell them every detail about what happened with Nathan. Some things are better left unsaid. Rebecca and I still talk. We meet for coffee every few weeks and talk about work, life, and that strange connection between two people who survived the same wreckage. There is no romance there. We are both too damaged and too aware of how fast a marriage can fall apart. But there is respect, understanding, a shared knowledge neither of us asked for. She has thrown herself into work and motherhood with serious focus, 60-hour weeks, then soccer games and piano recitals, proving to her kids that life can still be stable after betrayal. Her children are doing well. Kids can survive a lot when one strong parent refuses to break. Melissa is still waitressing and still sharing that small apartment. Her Instagram used to be full of polished photos of her perfect life. Now it is private and mostly dead. Her parents will not talk to her. Most of her friends have disappeared. She is 34 years old, starting over with nothing but the consequences of her choices. Nathan is doing worse. He works nights at the grocery store and barely keeps up with child support. His supervised visits with the kids are stiff and painful. His son hardly speaks to him. His daughter cries when it is time to leave. Rebecca makes sure the children understand their father made choices that hurt people, but she does not poison them against him. She does not need to. Nathan's absence and failures say enough. The affair that ruined 2 marriages is now nothing but regret and blame. Melissa and Nathan do not speak. The passion they thought was worth risking everything for has turned into bitterness. Justice, I learned, works best through legal channels and social consequences. No more drama needed. Just people watching their own bad choices take their lives apart. 6 months have passed since I watched Melissa sign our divorce papers with shaking hands. Now I am sitting on my condo balcony on a Sunday morning, drinking coffee while the sunrise paints the skyline gold and amber. The view never gets old. 32 floors above the noise and chaos, with clean air and open possibility stretching in front of me. I think about the man I was a year ago. Adrian Marshall, the trusting husband who believed in vows and happy endings. The man who came home from business trips expecting honesty and got a performance instead. The man who noticed little things that did not add up and wondered if he was losing his mind. That man was naive, but he was not weak. When the betrayal came into the light, he did not fall apart. He planned. The change did not happen overnight. Those first weeks after finding the camera footage felt like drowning. Every conversation with Melissa hurt. I knew the truth and still had to pretend everything was fine. Every goodbye kiss felt like poison. Every "I love you" felt like a blade twisting deeper. But somewhere inside that darkness, I found something stronger than heartbreak. I found resolve. Melissa had made her choice. Nathan had made his. So I made mine, and mine was permanent. The revenge was not only about anger, though anger drove me at first. It was about justice. It was about making sure people felt the full weight of what they had done. Melissa wanted to play house with her sister's husband, while I paid the bills and played the fool. Fine. But she would do it without my home, my money, or my protection from consequences. Nathan wanted to throw away his marriage for afternoon hookups with his wife's sister. Fine. He could learn what life looked like without the woman who worked while he played video games and messed around. I do not feel guilty about what I did to them. I feel satisfied. The cold, lasting satisfaction of a man who refused to stay a victim. My phone buzzes with a text from a woman I have been seeing. Megan, a marketing executive who travels almost as much as I do. We are having dinner tonight at a restaurant with a month-long waiting list. She is smart, successful, and independent. She pays her own way and does not need me to give her an identity. I have learned the difference between a woman who wants a partner and a woman who wants a provider. Between real affection and a performance meant to secure comfort. Between love and convenience. Melissa is 34 now, serving chicken wings and splitting rent with a stranger. Nathan is 39, stocking shelves and seeing his kids 4 hours a month under supervision. Their choices took them exactly where they deserved to go. I am 36, divorced, and free. My wife betrayed me with her sister's husband in my house, in my bed. So I made sure they both paid with everything they had to lose. Some people might call that cold. I call it justice, and I have never been happier.